married too young. A contract was signed, and I was too young to understand its price was me. The man who married me made one thing very clear: nothing inside those walls escaped his control. Chapter 1. I did not love him. I did not choose him. The marriage was not about me. It was about uniting our families, securing power, and ending the war between the two families with two signatures. Only a marriage contract, no physical intimacy. The first night after the wedding, my husband closed the door behind us and said, "You will sleep in my room." No explanation, no argument. That was when I understood. This marriage was not about love, it was about control. Thankfully, he did not touch me. The Hawthorne state loomed around me, imposing and silent. Its corridors swallowed sound, and the shadows seemed to shift when I walked past. I carried my small suitcase up the marble stairs, heart pounding, aware that every step was being measured. Casey and Hawthorne stood by the tall windows in the sitting room. He did not move as I entered, and for a moment I wondered if he ever did anything without thinking 3 steps ahead. His gaze finally met mine, sharp and assessing, as if he could see through the pretense I had wrapped around myself for years. "You're early," he said. I did not want to be late, I replied, my voice barely a whisper. He did not smile. Being late is not allowed in my house. I tried to hide my shiver. "I understand." He tilted his head, studying me with quiet intensity. "You will learn quickly. Rules are not suggestions." I nodded, unsure if he was testing me or simply stating a fact I could not argue with. That night, the corridors felt narrower than they had before. I placed my suitcase in the guest room near his study, the room he had assigned me for my belongings, without asking. Hours later, I found myself wandering past his study again, drawn by the faint glow of candle and the sound of his pen scratching across paper. I paused outside the door, my hand hovering near the handle. The door opened before I could knock. Cassian leaned against the frame, tie slightly loosened, sleeves rolled up. He did not smile. He did not move toward me. He simply said, "You're wandering in the wrong places, Iris. Either come in or walk away." My throat went dry. I was just thinking, he finished for me. Dangerous habit. I stepped inside and the door closed softly behind me. He did not touch me or move closer. Then slowly he said, "You hide very well, but not from me." A shiver ran down my spine, and I realized with startling clarity: in this house, nothing and no one escaped his notice. That night I lay awake in my assigned room, heart racing and wondering how a marriage arranged for strategy could feel so suffocating and so compelling. The house was a cage for me, and Cassian had the key. Chapter 2. Days passed. I learned quickly that in the Hawthorne state silence was not peaceful. Every step, every glance, and every word was observed. Meals were quiet. My hands trembled as I poured tea, careful not to spill. Cassian would correct the staff if they ignored me. Subtle but absolute. It was not kindness, it was control, wrapped in the guise of protection. Yet there were moments, fleeting and small, when his attention softened. A book placed on my desk, tea prepared exactly the way I liked it, my coat folded neatly by the staircase. It was impossible to tell if it was a habit or deliberate, but I noticed, and I hated myself for it because my heart responded anyway. 3 weeks later, a storm knocked out the state's power. Candles flickered along the corridor, casting shadows against the stone walls. You're tense. I just don't like dark, and I feel cold. He removed his jacket and draped it over my shoulders, fingers brushing my collarbone. You should say thank you, he murmured. Thank you, I breathed. For what? For taking care of me? I admitted, cheeks burning. There it is, he said, his lips curving faintly. The storm outside raged, but inside the air shifted. A week later, whispers reached my ears. She's just a piece in the alliance, one relative said. Not a choice, not love. I packed my bag that night, determined to leave. Cassian watched silently as I folded clothes, suitcase in hand. You leaving? His voice was calm, almost detached. I don't belong here, I said, my heart thudding. He stepped closer, slow and deliberate. You do belong here. You just don't see it yet. I was never wanted, he replied. I don't keep people around me if I don't want them. I dropped the suitcase. My pulse raced. One stormy night, I was feeling cold and sitting quietly in one corner when Cassian entered the room. You look tense, he said softly. I just don't like the noise of the thunder. You're safe, he said, and you're mine. His hands touched my face, tracing my lips with his fingers. I shivered. Then he whispered, I don't rush things worth keeping. Weeks turned to months, and I learned when to meet his gaze, when to retreat. Our love grew. Our closeness grew. He teased me with words sharp as knives, and then softened them with care I did not expect. Our battles were quiet, but they built tension, awareness, and desire. Standing in front of the dresser, brushing my hair, when Cassian entered the room, his gaze caught mine in the mirror, and I felt him close behind me. Without a word, he stepped closer. I felt his warmth before I saw his expression fully. My chest tightened, and for a fleeting moment I wanted to step away. But something inside me held me in the place. He lifted a hand, brushing a loose strand of hair behind my ear. I have waited for this, he murmured, voice low and almost tender. Before I could respond, he leaned in and his lips met mine. Deep, insistent, yet careful, like he was claiming what was his, but being gentle. My hands instinctively went to his chest, trying to push him away. But his touch was steady, grounding. The kiss lingered, slow and commanding, until I relaxed, letting myself respond. A shiver ran through me, not from fear, but from the realization that I wanted this entirely. When we finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. His voice was softer, almost a whisper. You belong here, with me. For the first time, I wanted to stay, not because I had no choice, but because his presence became my comfort. And love found us in the peaceful moments of togetherness.